Hello again! In today's video we're going to be learning about quest markers. If you don't know what an objective marker is, it's a little point on your map or hub that tells you where your objective lies. It's very common in open world games, and I'm going to show you how to make that inside Rec Room. But it's going to be toggleable, so you can turn it on or off depending upon whether or not you like that kind of playstyle. To start, we're going to go with where are the objectives. To do this, we're going to be using an objective marker set enabled and an objective marker set position, as well as a constant. Now, with these chips, the output of one of them will go into the input of the other. Doesn't matter which way, it just needs to happen. Now, both of these chips have a target input. That target input is going to be connected to the constant's output. The constant will need to be configured to what the objective is. Then, the last thing that you need to know about these three chips is that the objective marker set enabled is set to true. This is for turning on the objective marker. We're going to get into turning it off later. Now you may have noticed that the objective marker set position has a position input. If we were to connect that position input directly into this vector component and then activate this objective marker, then the objective is going to show up where you first spun into the map. What we want is for the objective to show up where this arrow is. So we're going to use the middleman getPosition to tell us where this arrow is. You don't have to use a vector component. You can use welcome mats, doors, pistons, any other gadget that has a position up here. Now, because we're going to be using the room inventory to create the quest marker, this next step is actually making that inventory item. So you're going to go to this room, settings, inventory items, and add inventory item. You're going to name it, maybe give it a description, maybe an image, and then you are going to turn on the use action. For visibility, it doesn't really matter what setting as long as it is not hidden. That is because the plan is for the player to always have it. The next part is pretty simple. It's the circuits behind using the inventory item. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a check to tell what kind of inventory item we're using. We don't want an objective marker to go off when you use a health potion. So grab an event receiver toggled to inventory item used, inventory item constant, 2 equals, and an if chip. How this is going to work is we're going to take the execute output of the event receiver and put it into the if chip. Next, we're going to take the inventory item that we're using and putting it into the equals chip below. We're going to take the inventory item constant and put it into the equals chip. The equals will go into the second equals, and this will be toggled true. Then the output of this equals is going to be put into the input of the if chip. How this works is when an inventory item is used, then it's going to check what inventory item was used. If it was the toggle quest marker, and they equal, this output will be turned to true. And if that output is turned to true, then these two values will match, and the output of this equal sign will be true as well. And if the condition is true, the then of the if chip is going to be what is continued on and executed. Now, how I want this to work is I want players to have the objective marker as soon as they spawn into the map. So I'm going to give it to them when they spawn in, but I'm going to have a check that says if you already have one, you don't get another one. Here's how it will go down. When a player joins the room, it will check their inventory. What is it looking for? It's looking for the quest marker. When that is done, an if chip will be run to check to see how many there are. We want that to equal 1. If it does not equal 1, then it will add an inventory item. What inventory item will it add? It will add the quest marker. Here's what we've done so far. The only thing that we need to do here is connect the if chip to the objective marker set enabled. However, if you have multiple objectives, you might as well create a sequence chip. When we create a sequence chip, we can have that if chip right here do multiple objectives all at once. So if you have another objective, you can connect that here. Now it's time to turn our focus onto the objective itself. Now I've already covered how to do this in a previous video, so I'm just going to be brief about it here. What we're going to do now is we're going to cover this in an interaction volume. Now that the objective is covered in an interaction volume, I'm going to detach this chip and move it somewhere where it's easier to do circuits. Like there. As with the previous video, the interaction volume is locked output is going to go into the not input. The not output is going to go back into the interaction volume, and then the delay chip will connect by running and after delay into the set locked. That means that when the delay runs, it will lock the interaction volume immediately, and then after the delay, it will unlock it. Make sure to change the delay time and the interaction volume hold time to keep people from duplicating the results. Here's how it's all going to work. The interaction volume, when used, is going to set off the bool variable, which is set to true, which will also set off the player show subtitle and the inventory item add. The inventory item add needs to be defined with whatever you are picking up. In this case, I'm going to be using a witch's potion, but really it is whatever the interaction volume is around. The player show subtitle, I decided to add to say objective complete, telling the player you completed this objective, move on with the quest. Our new chips are labeled in orange. We have another if equals check and an objective marker set enabled. That objective marker set enabled needs to be set to false, and the target is defined as the same target as the other two. It's going to be executed by the if chip, which will be connected to the equals as all the if equals checks are, and it will go off when the inventory item add is completed. The run of this inventory item is going to go into the delay run. The bool variable is going to have the bool, or the red, false, or true, go into equals. This equals will need to be true. So here's what just happened. When you interact with the interaction volume, and the inventory item is added, two things will happen. The delay chip will go off to lock the interaction volume, and the if equals check will run. What it's checking for is if you collect that interaction volume. When you click it, this true will transfer over to the output, which will then transfer to this equals chip, and when both of these are true, the if chip will run the then output. The then output will then cancel your objective marker set enabled, meaning your objective marker will turn off when you click on the interaction volume. For this final step, we're going to be using an if equals check and 2 to 3 bool variables. These bool variables need to be named something different from the last bool variable, but these 2 to 3 need to be named the exact same thing. To include these chips, we're going to run the sequence execution through the if chip. The then output is going to go through the true objective marker set enabled, and the else is going to go through the false version. This bool variable needs to be connected to the equals chip, and the equals chip to the if chip. The bool variable is going to be set to true, and this one needs to be set to true as well. The true goes with the true, and the false goes with the false. Connect both of these bool variables to their objective set marker enabled, and this is it. For the simplicity of this video, I included this bool variable. However, it is not needed. If you want, you can delete it, and use the other true bool variable to be the input of the equals chip. And here is the end result. All these circuits allow you to have an objective marker set on an item for a retrieval quest. You can use this for many different things. If you just want to name a town, remove this execution from this if chip, and you now have a town marker. You could also use this to mark NPCs that you want your players to go talk to, or just visit certain places. This is all up to you now.